welcome to another week of joy and excellence with Marilyn Horse. It's not getting any better, Marilyn, is it?
It is absolutely rapidly going down the drain. And I don't think we've hit the bottom yet.
No, I don't, and we are not making you miserable, folks. But we are absolutely on a mission to get reality back into what is happening to dear old Blighty. Even the blind and deaf will see what is really happening. You've only got to compare our great past, and it's a great past for Great Britain, to where we are now, where the world is in so many parts actually laughing at us and saying, "What?"
Mm,
Well,
mm.
let's have an unusual start in that a young girl, Ava White, died at the hands of Harry Gilberts, and now he's not been able to be named because of his age. He stabbed Ava in the neck, horrible death. After a sort of mini gang fight, not of the drug variety, just teenagers getting out of hand. She sadly died. Mother is obviously distraught, but has done something about it wonderful. She's got packs, kits that will help people in a stabbing situation. How do you treat them medically,
Mhm.
save their life until the paramedics come along? And actually, she's proven she's saved 6 lives already,
Wow.
which is phenomenal. But let's go back to the 13-year sentence, he's halfway through it, that Harry has. Actually, he got hold of an iPad in prison, and he's tweeting and social mediaing. And of course, mum sees this and it cuts her to the quick for obvious reasons. My
Absolutely.
daughter, she said, should be doing that, but she
Mm,
is
mm,
gone.
mm, mm.
And 13 years, he will be out very shortly. And this guy is not a nice guy. If you see some of his postings, you can tell what type and background he's from. Justice? No.
No, absolutely not. But also, A, what's he doing with an iPad? B, why isn't that iPad been taken away from him? And C, why will he be let out by the parole board? If he's coming out, I don't know if that is his sentence completed or not, but if it's on this sort of like reduced system, then he should be in front of the parole board, and the parole board should know what he's treating because he clearly hasn't reformed.
He's halfway through his
All
sentence,
right.
is
So,
it?
I
So,
mean,
yes, he's approaching parole.
well, I'm sure the mother, because she sounds a bit like me, a bit of a tigress, that she will make it absolutely known to the prison governor what he's doing, because that will then, and if she hasn't and she's listening to this, then she should, because that will hopefully, when his parole comes up, that will be noted, because he's obviously not any remorse at all.
No.
I mean, and what I mean, time and again, all these stabbings, it keeps happening. No one's doing anything about it. This is going to be another thing like the rape gangs, that no one is doing anything about it. And the other thing about also stabbings, if you haven't got one of those packs, if you haven't got one, is to literally put your big size 11 feet on the wound and stand on the wound. The paramedics told me that when we were doing some training in a school about stabbings and stuff, and they said, if you put even like a credit card or something like that, a plastic card, and literally put your foot and put your pressure on that stabbed wound, that can also help.
Yes, I'm sure. A bit difficult on the neck and various
Difficult on the
parts of
neck,
the
as
body.
yes and no, but of course the trouble is, I mean, a lot of them, if they really mean business, they
Yeah.
will go for the femoral artery.
Yes.
And that's on your leg. So and that is death row. That one. You got 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes before you bleed out.
Horrible.
It's
Let's move
dreadful.
on because we've got so much to squeeze in here. What is Angela Rayner up to now? Because it's what you don't read in the paper that you've got to take care of. One thing is that she's trying to redefine Islamophobia.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not in the normal press because she doesn't want it there.
Mm.
This is behind closed doors. What it will mean, basically, the lefty misfits that rule our country will get their own way. I mean, Marilyn, let's call it what it is. We say it's the blob. That's a too kind of word for it.
Mm,
But it's Whitehall has got so much influence on our
mm,
politicians.
mm,
They
mm,
are running the country in
mm,
various forms.
They are.
What you see is only the tip of the iceberg.
It's just, I mean, I would suggest that people should listen to, which I've sent you today, some YouTubes of Dominic Cummings. And I know he's a bit strange. I'm certain sure he's probably autistic or something like that because but nonetheless, he has been at the right hand of Boris, and he has been, and he has seen, and he has heard, and he has read stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And it's what we kind of know, but he does know it. And what he says is actually frightening what's going on behind the cover-ups and the screen. The smoke screen is really something. And I'm now following Dominic Cummings because I'm absolutely certain sure he is right what's going on about the people. But I mean, even with this, even with this inquiry, what really scares me is that social workers, the police are not going to be looked into. Politicians aren't going to be. Why? This should be without fear or favour. They are already trying to protect those that they knew and know are the social workers that were calling these girls prostitutes and all of that. That if they're not going to be uh, called out of the shadows, if the Baroness Casey is not going to insist that these little factions of pockets of people are not also going to be reviewed and looked at, then that does make a mockery of the Casey review because or the Casey inquiry. Because it's not going to be the truth, is it? It's going to be another, ooh, let's just do what we want to do. And I'm sorry, those people that have been told are going to be protected, the police, the social workers, people in government, sorry, they're the worst culprits.
Sadly, that's the case. Well, another breaking news today is the Swindon and area decision to introduce 300
Oh,
LGBT flags for children of all age into schools and tell them what they mean. They significant, never mind the fact that there's not even that many countries on the world that have their own flags. It's brainwashing, let's call it what it is. They're
yeah,
keen to get the young people on their side. And they go into transgender, they go into polyamory, they go into all sorts of non-normal relationships.
yeah,
Actually, the normal people, the majority, I should say, of people, normality is another issue. They've got a black flag. I wonder why it's a black flag, but we've got a flag for that's the vast majority. Although there is room for the transgender population
but
within that.
it is. I mean, this is in primary schools. This is in primary schools in Swindon. If I was a parent at that school, I would be raising Cain. Excuse me, we have a problem in this country in certain aspects of it where there's reading problems, writing problems, maths problems, I mean, the ability to be sociable in school. Oh, yeah, but let's learn about the flags. I mean, and it's just ridiculous. I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. I can't understand any school. I worry about what else they're being taught with such a bunch of lefties. I really do. But you're teaching this to 7-year-olds. I mean, it's completely wrong. It's completely wrong. It's the
Well,
sort of
it's
thing.
the Labour Council
Oh,
again.
yes,
It seems to
absolutely.
be the left
There we
all
go.
the time
Yeah,
that's kicking this off.
absolutely. Absolutely. But
But
I,
what's
I
it?
wouldn't I wouldn't be sitting there and taking it. Someone has obviously blown the whistle on it.
Yes,
I mean, some parent must have done because that's how it's got into the news.
yes,
So
indeed.
someone's complained, but I would be absolutely at the doors of the education department shouting and screaming. I just absolutely would not tolerate it. Or I'd have to move. I would not let my child be in that environment.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
crazy.
it's
It's
a
crazy.
question of, as we keep saying, it's being there and shouting it out if it's there to be. Now, it's easy for us to because we're shouters.
Yes,
and it's not in the nature of many people, but I'm sorry, it will come back on you if you don't. Eventually, one way or the
exactly.
other, it will come
Exactly.
back on you and your family.
And this is what I like about Patrick Christie because he's, I hope he's got shares in freedom of speech because I mean, he really does name it. And some of these young guys on GB News, they're not right wing. They've just got common sense and they call it out for what it is. I mean, if we're like getting away from the flags, I mean, he opened up last night, late at night, with, oh, this is great. We're now a country where, you can kill your full term baby at the same time, kill your granny. I mean,
Yes, yeah, more of that shortly. We're going to whip over to, my goodness me, Raducanu, another of our wonderful heroes, failed tennis players, for whatever reason. Now, I hope she comes back to where she started off from. But time will
I'm
tell.
a
But
I'm a big tennis fan, and I just feel yes, a very attractive young lady came onto the circuit. Um, Sadly, I think when you've got a young body like that, she had a lot of injuries. You're pushing yourself beyond, elevated immediately into the dizzy height of success and celebrity and that's a hard thing to follow, isn't it? It's a hard act to follow. And then you got some idiotic stalker on her case. I don't know if you saw that this man, where she was, I think in Dubai, was it? She saw him in the crowd or something, and she had a panic attack. And then it comes out, I was listening, I heard it on the radio during the week, that he'd followed her to four different countries where she was playing. And at one place actually had stopped and handed her a note and all of this. But fortunately, the security online for booking tickets at Wimbledon picked up the name and flagged it up.
well
So
done.
he,
So some of the authorities are with it, aren't they?
yes, they are with it. But if I'd been him, I'd have changed my name.
Well, yeah. Well,
But he's got like an order to sort of like not get near her. That
yeah.
man needs arresting. He needs arresting and he needs sorting out because he's dangerous. He is dangerous. He's clearly dangerously obsessed. I mean, and just a restriction order isn't going to stop him.
Sticking to this part of the world, let's talk about also Katie Bolter, who's had a similar bad
Yeah.
experience, this time through social media, death threats. Oh,
Mm.
I hope you get cancer. We don't
Ah,
like. I mean, what are these clowns doing now? You could say it's bad. It upsets people, especially temperamentally. You can't cope with those sort of idiots.
no.
Other people will just say, go away, not interested. But some people are more sensitive. Now, you got a problem here. You can say, let's bring in a law. Oh my goodness me, not another one, surely. What you can do, you can say, let's bring in a law that they can be banged to rights for writing this stuff. But it's not going to work. You can't police it. So is it, I'm going to say education. It's upbringing as well as education. But how do we change these horrible people? And they are.
I do think you go back to parenting. You go back to parenting and teaching respect and kindness and empathy and all the good things in life and not turn out your kids to be feral. And that's part of the problem. And of course, social media anyway, generally. I mean, I still think if you're looking at social media, that I still think this online safety bill just doesn't have teeth. Then this sort of, I mean, there is a law about hate speech. I mean, that is horrific what she went has, some of the things that she has had in it. I mean, and the trouble is, it is today's world of being known and show your success and all that. But of course, you've got the awful side of it. I don't know whether she has an agent that polices her social media and lets her not see things.
Mm,
It's like back in the day before social media, where if people had something horrible being written about them in the press, you wouldn't let them see the papers, would you? It's far harder to police. But I mean, I think in some respect, it is today's world using social media if you are a sports celebrity. But once you do that, you open yourself to a horror story. I mean, but you've got to think, what are the sick minds? And they are sick. They're evil.
yes.
They're evil. What motivates them? What do they get off? What do they get off on? I mean,
Well, it's your
just because you
celebrity.
can.
It's your 5 minutes of celebrity again, isn't it?
Oh God,
But
honestly.
listen, you mentioned a few minutes ago about the state of two bills that have gone through Parliament this week, and I am absolutely aghast at these.
Mm.
The abortion, which we expected to go through, sadly, that's another thin end of the wedge. It will not stop up to birth, believe you me. We'll follow other countries. It will become infanticide.
Yes, uh,
And
yes, yeah. I mean, honestly, that Rodney. I mean, what I don't. It is a woman's body, and a woman has the right. I mean, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. My faith would not allow me to do it. But I have empathy for people if you have been raped, especially by a rape gang. Why do you want that baby? I can absolutely understand that if you are in a hideous situation in domestic abuse. I mean, I lost my first child because of that. And it was the cortisol that killed the baby. It was a little boy because I was so worried. I was getting phone calls from my husband every day about how he didn't want this effing child, blah blah blah. And I got my anxiety was so high. I thought, what is he going to do to this baby when it's born? And it was horrible. And the baby died inside at 5.5 months. And there was nothing wrong with the baby. It was the cortisol through the trauma, yeah. And I always remember his birthday, what would have been, thereabouts sort of thing. But, I can understand sometimes, but, after 24 weeks, that is a viable baby. That is a baby that can be incubated and can be helped. Who on earth is the person that is going to have to hold that dead baby? Are we talking about, is this going to be the job of a midwife? I mean, and there are plenty of people that would happily adopt a baby, like you used
exactly,
to in the
exactly.
old days. In the old days, now, oh, for all the stupid paraphernalia and all the blooming paperwork and checks and balances, you don't often get a child until they're a year, where they've been bounced around foster carers. But there is no, I just found, and they put this law through in 2 hours. It's disgusting. And where are the faith leaders? No, you haven't heard a single faith leader.
Not a jot or tittle from any of them.
Not a
Having
thing.
said that, there are some smaller churches that do speak out against, you
Yeah, but
know.
they don't make the news, do they? You see, that's the point.
No,
I
indeed
mean,
they
and
do.
how long is it going to take us to get an Archbishop of Canterbury? 2 weeks it took to get a Pope elected in, and we still haven't got one. There's no one. Who's the deputy guy? No one from the Catholics. The Catholics haven't even spoken out. I am absolutely aghast. I agree with you, and I'm really desperately sad because I know what it's like to. I lost 4 babies. And for people who are now trying for a baby and they hear this, how it's just a disposable commodity, how many are going to do it when they find out it's the wrong sex? Oh, I wanted a
Indeed,
girl.
certainly from other cultures, and it goes on now today. The
It's
number of
barbaric.
deaths in Pakistan.
Yeah,
Oh, it's a girl. We don't want
I
that.
know. And they throw them in the dustbins and everything. It's absolutely a backward step
And
hugely.
they
It's
leave them to
barbaric.
die in most places in the rubbish.
I know. It's absolutely awful. It's despicable for what is supposed to be a Christian country. Excuse me. I mean, it is anything but. We are literally diving down to the bottom of the pool.
Yeah,
It's dreadful. It is
you've hit on
dreadful.
it there. Look, there have been some other events, quite independent of what's gone on in Parliament, that have come from visitors. And they've come out with these stories. We've not questioned them or pushed them into making a comment. They've just related them to us. The first thing is that how do you tackle a person that is extreme abortion, which is against what we both believe in,
Mm, mm.
extremely pro-abortion? There is one question that they can't answer, so I'll give it to you. Nicely, you can say, what were you in your mother's womb? Now, there's only one answer to that, a baby.
Mm.
So therefore, you're killing a baby. You're not
Absolutely.
killing, back to the word blob, or a nucleus, or it's just not formed. the heart beats at 6 weeks.
Yes,
And I
exactly.
think back to a personal experience that I had with dear old Ofcom. This was 20 years ago, but then it was infected by the progressives in those days.
Mm.
And we came and talked about this on air, and we showed a clip of a program that many people have seen now called The Silent Scream. It was out of America, and it showed a doctor performing an abortion at 13 weeks, and the baby is formed. Pain being felt. It was truly awful. We did give the prior warnings before putting this to air. Don't watch it. And my goodness me, was I in trouble from again the blob. It turns out that we found out there was one person alone that objected to the program out of all the viewers, and this went on Sky as well. We put the program on Sky as well of our own channel. Big audience. One person complains. They, whoever they are, the opportunity of having a go. That's where we are, but it's even
Mm.
worse these days. The second instance springs to mind was a lady, very well educated lady, who runs a good business here on the Costa del Sol, came in and was talking about this. And she said, I got pregnant out of wedlock when I was 23, and I was just about to start my career, well qualified from university. And I thought, what am I going to do? So she thought, well, I'll go along to one of the clinics and see what they suggest. Well, there's only one thing that the clinic suggests, and that is abortion. And the significant thing is she went into and she got that side of the argument. And she said, well, can I go away and think about it? About 6 weeks pregnant. She said, fine. And then she went out. And outside, and in those days, you were allowed near the abortion clinic with posters in hand saying, think twice, or can we help you, or whatever. She went up to one of the ladies, and the lady said, what you just said. Well, there are alternatives, one of them being obviously adoption or whatever. And it's not really a good thing for the mother psychologically. It kills a life. And she said, I'm going back inside. So she went back inside and said to the counsellor, I'm sorry, I've thought about this. And it's not for me. I don't want an abortion. The counselling was something like out of an Alfred Hitchcock film, she said. You could see the contortion and hate on her face. You can't do that. Now, two things here. Why was that evil expression coming out? And secondly, what are they making out of this,
Oh, yeah.
these clinics? A fortune.
Exactly.
I bet they're on commission and other inducements,
It's just
and
awful.
it's wicked. And having seen the contorted face telling her she left.
I don't blame her.
And she looks back now on her 13-year-old boy
Oh,
and says, brilliant.
I know that's, I just couldn't. I know I couldn't. And no, I felt, I don't know what I felt when I heard about the footage. Sadness, depths of sadness, anger about this is a life created by God. And it is not a commodity that you don't want. And I mean, you think of the babies that are born with disabilities and and how they, I mean, and the people that so badly want a baby and they can't have them and what they go through. And it's just outrageous. And I cannot believe that after a 2 hour debate, if there was a debate, this has gone through. I understand the early weeks, say the first four weeks, 28 weeks, if you extended it from 28 weeks for certain circumstances, but post that, it is a viable baby. I cannot believe Well, GB News, Patrick Christie's, and all of them, and they mentioned infanticide. And these are young men and young women. GB News is a young program, isn't it? They were absolutely outraged. And can it be overturned? Will it go through the House of Lords when? In about 5 years' time?
Well, I mean, it will go to the Lords how it gets out. The chances of it being changed, reversed, are very remote.
Ugh.
We've got to be honest. There is still a chance.
But
Uh,
what is the point if having the House of Lords if they let everything go through?
yes, that's a good point. Well, look, the other thing that's driven even serious papers like the Telegraph to say today, headlines, UK is doomed because if you've got no moral compass
Mm?
regarding abortion and euthanasia,
Mm-hmm.
you're doomed as a nation. Look
It's
at
evil.
history.
It's evil.
It
It's
is.
evil. And I mean, there was I read something, I think it was last night actually, and it was like, ha- isn't it awful that you can put in the mind of someone, oh, I'm like this now. I don't want to be a problem to my family. And then the family could be saying, oh, mum, I mean, as long as you can live, you don't know what joy that person still gets out of, even if your family can't come all week, every week, or every month, or whatever, but they tell you what they're doing. And if you can, you don't know, even if it's limited joy, you don't know. You don't know. And I just think it's is opening itself to so much abuse. See, I see it as suicide. I don't see it as euthanasia. And I know people say, oh, you wouldn't keep a dog alive, but this is a choice. That's the thing about being a human being. That's the thing about our spiritualness, that we have a choice. And that to me, if you are choosing to die, it is suicide. And for me, because that's my faith, in God's eyes, where would that sit me?
Again, personal experience that I have mentioned on another of our broadcasts, but it's worth mentioning at this time, is that because of a fall that I had this time last year, the beginning of July, I was in a mess, big time.
You were.
I've had three hospitals refusing to take me because it was too
Mhm.
difficult. I eventually filmed up in Malaga City Hospital, who had the best neurosurgeon in Spain, who was phenomenal. So I had a brain operation, a
Mm.
pelvis operation, a hip operation, and my sons were, we only have boys, uh, were rung and said, he's got less than 1% chance of survival. You better get over here. So they duly came, and I didn't know this at the time. Obviously, I was not really with it. And you translate that situation to what's going to happen
Absolutely.
now in
Absolutely.
and happens in
Absolutely.
other country. At that stage, as an example, a doctor, a lawyer, and what do we think of lawyers, and do they
Hmm.
always get it right? A social worker,
No,
there again, what do
God forbid.
social workers that do? They all always get it right. Some of them do. But those three people would be called in to decide he's of an age, he's got less than one chance in 100. Let's put him out of his agony. That's what's going to happen,
Well,
folks.
this is absolutely right. I mean, I remember last summer. I mean, it is a miracle that you're sat here today talking to me and articulately and all the rest of it. And I know your body is still broken, but you were in a unbelievable, pitiful state. But you see, it does. I don't care what people say. In hospices, it's gone on for years, and hospitals where the person is in pain. And I could never, when I worked in one of them, I've worked in 4 hospices, when you get a call from the ward that says, oh, can you call the family of blah, blah, blah? We think they've only got about 4 hours. And I thought, this is really weird. And I do think if they're in pain, they get an extra heavy shot of morphine. I truly, truly do. I think it has been going on for a long time, not acknowledged, where people know, and I mean, how can you say you can have this law if you know you've got 6 months to live? What? I mean, there was a young girl that said something similar. She was on the front page of somewhere or other. I think she was in the Telegraph yesterday, actually, and she was saying, "I am now 5 years on from where I thought I might be dying, to living a life I could never have explained." I mean, look at Esther Ranson. Can't stand the woman, but she was supposed to have died 2.5 years ago, and she's still out there. I
Can
mean,
I mention something about Esther that
oh,
maybe
go on.
apparently a deal was done with Esther and Sir Kier right at the beginning of the year, because for Parliament to make time for these bills, which were in one case private bill, another case is very unusual.
Mm,
Keir Starmer is on a mission. He's an atheist
yeah,
and a Marxist,
he
and
is.
he's a danger at whatever
He
level for this
is
country.
absolutely right. He is
And you've
absolutely.
got a situation where Esther said, we want this to go through. And he said, right, I'll make sure there's time for it. Now, this is a democracy.
Is it?
Exactly.
It's not.
No.
It's not a democracy. I
We
mean,
are
because
being controlled. It's all part of Marxism control.
it
Oh,
absolutely
that's
is.
extreme. No, it's not. We've
Mm-mm,
listened to you progressives for
mm.
years. And where have you got us? Our great nation.
Awful. I mean, I can't believe in like less than a year how it's just how we can stand another 4 years of this parliament is just frightening and worrying that some things may not be able to be turned back round. And I mean, trying to get the deportations. I mean, are they really deporting them? Are they really?
No, no.
No, they're not. And then they're
We,
coming even more. I mean, it is beyond acceptable. It really is, and it's a real worry. But I am extremely angry at the church leaders. Where's the Methodists, the Baptists? I mean, as I say, where's um, where the evangelists? But above all, where are the Catholic leaders? This stuff about
and the C of E, the same.
and this, well, we've got no one there, have we? I mean, but somebody should, some of the bishops should have been talking up. I mean, but when will this get through the House of Lords? I mean, from what I heard, it won't be like any day soon.
No.
It's just awful. It's awful. You cannot cradle yourself, cannot call this country a Christian country. It's awful. But
Well,
the other thing, Rodney, I was going to say that with this vote, the MPs did, there was only 23 votes different, which I don't call a huge majority, like Brexit. Brexit should have had, there should be a ceiling where it says we need at least X number of votes for it to go through, right? But no MP, to my knowledge, and certainly my MP didn't, ever went to the constituents and say, what do you want?
do you think? Yeah.
No, no one. And I think that's wrong. That meant my MP would have given his own personal view.
Yes.
And it shouldn't be like that. It absolutely shouldn't be like that. They are supposed to represent the constituents. All they had to do was send an email out to all their constituents or a letter and say, how do you feel about this going through? And
Yes.
representing the feelings of their
Yes.
their actual and that hasn't happened. So the fact is like no one's had a voice in it. It's wrong. It's,
It was
it's not
interesting
democracy.
to see the death vote where individuals voted. There's some surprises here
Mm,
because Rishi Sunak wanted death, and quite a few of the cabinet, the old cabinet,
mm.
now the shadow cabinet. Mr. Hunt also, surprisingly, wanted the death vote.
But what they should be doing is spending money so that the end of life is better supported, better dealt with, better pain control. better nurturing and palliative care. That's what they should be doing, so they aren't horrible deaths.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Interestingly enough, when you talk about reform, Nigel Farage voted against it. Well done, him.
Really?
Diane Abbott, this was a surprise to me, of the Money Tree fame, gave one of the best speeches heard in Parliament for donkey's years,
Really?
and she was against it. Well, you can't get it wrong every time, Diane. Well done.
Well done then. What about Anne Widdecombe? Did she not say anything?
Well, she is not a member of Parliament, of course, is
Oh, of course she's not. No,
yeah.
of course not. I'm
So,
surprised she isn't in the papers today because she, as a Catholic, would have been absolutely
oh,
against
I'm sure about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, which leads us on. If you think that was bad, folks,
it.
and you thought Britain was bad, the United Kingdom, let's talk about Ireland, the south of Ireland, because I was told about this some time ago, but only on the surface. But now the truth is emerging, and it's horrible. You think the grooming gangs are bad. Well, let's go one step further. What's happened in Ireland as we speak? 796 infant remains have been found in a septic tank under an institution run by Catholic nuns,
Oh,
supported and encouraged by the state. Now, we go back to middle of the last century, when if you got yourself pregnant, you were really looked down upon big time. So the Catholic Church says, well, we'll take these girls in, we'll make sure they're birthed correctly. But wow, when you start digging to find out what happens, first of all, the women were treated cruelly
mm,
in
mm.
these institutions. They were made to work endless hours doing
Yeah,
various jobs.
yeah, workhouses, weren't they?
Yes, basically, perhaps even worse. The children were removed from them. Well, that was turned out to be a blessing if you think about it, for various reasons. A lot of them finished up in America, adopted,
Mm.
so they were shipped off to America. But one of the sinister things in that, whether the truth will ever come out, that the death rate for little ones was twice what it would be expected in a normal family. So of these 796 infant remains, how many were dealt with? There's got to be a question. And this again is the tip of the iceberg, because it's also been found that 9,000 babies in 18 institutions which have not yet started literally digging have met the same fate. It's throughout Ireland. And they've decided, well done them, to at least stop this for the future. But how can people, some of them must have been genuine, nurses, whoever in these institutions, maybe they were given job roles there or whatever, got sucked into the institutionalizer and just went along with it and didn't whistleblow.
Yeah, there'd be some, no doubt, that was stillborn.
I'm sure.
I mean, back in the day, birth, to be honest, I always say it's the most dangerous journey you can ever make in your life is coming out the birth canal. It's really dangerous. I mean, even in today's medical knowledge and everything, you can still, at the last minute, something can go horribly wrong. But I mean,
We'll know more about this, how the story develops, but I'm glad they're
goodness
into it
me,
now.
that is. And how far are we going back with that? Are we going back, what, 50, 70 years?
50s and 60s mainly.
Mm, mm. But you see, I suppose then, I don't know, did we have cremations then? Would people, I suppose, would be, I mean, now a baby probably would be cremated, wouldn't it, in today's hospital? Where they, well, what else do you do with them? Is that how they got
Yeah,
rid of
well, they stick them
babies?
in the septic tank
They would have to,
for the
wouldn't they?
rest of the.
Because yeah, because I don't think there were cremations then, and I don't know what they did to be honest, but I don't think crematoriums go back that age. Did they go back? Or the chimneys?
I
Oh, I
don't.
don't know. Maybe they did in hospitals. I don't know. Maybe they did in the have. their internal
A
crowd.
disposal facility of that
Yeah,
kind.
that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. Yeah.
Um,
Goodness me, what? That's
what
an.
are we coming to? Like ECHR again. Again, truths are coming out about this. Of course, it is. It's clever lawyers interpreting the law. The law was that no, the law was not bad originally. It was good. The law now is bad because times have
It
changed that
is.
much. It is bad, bad, bad. But it's the wider interpretation of the law that
Well,
makes
that's it. It is the
it wicked.
interpretation.
And
Yeah.
these wretched lawyers are making a fortune.
Hmm.
How they
Hmm.
sleep at night, I
I
don't
know.
know.
But they
You've
don't need
got,
to because they're thinking of this.
yeah, you've got the other example of a drug dealer, hardened drug dealer, £250,000, takes selfies of all the money and all the drugs surrounding him, and he's going to get away with it on a technical point of
Unbelievable, isn't it?
HR.
And he headed a heroin gang, didn't he? And
Yes.
there's a photograph of him on social media with his 250,000 stash of money, and yet he's allowed to stay in this country. Why
Yes.
do we want people like this?
Well,
Why
it's
do we
up to
want people like
Starmer.
this?
Look, he's been at the centre of this
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
from
And
the
if I
Savile
mean,
days.
and then Dominic Cummings was saying yesterday, which I heard today, was saying that, there are a handful of really, really bright people that we need in this country to come in through migration, that aren't coming in, and yet all the dross is just swamping us. But the
And what
good
about
people,
the farmer in East Anglia,
mhm,
that over the years has got rid, I mean, I don't mean shot, 5,000 of these illegal immigrants
mhm.
off his land.
Yes,
And
yes.
quite rightly appeared
Quite rightly,
making news
absolutely right.
yesterday saying, if I
Absolutely
can
right.
do it, Starmer, what can you do?
Well,
That
exactly
is
right.
nothing.
It is exactly right. I mean, Patrick Christie was saying about last night, look, here's a way of, like, he was saying something about, oh, here's a way of stopping things. You just stop giving the French the money, or you immediately stop benefits. You just stop benefits and they won't want to come, will they? I
No.
mean, why is it so difficult? I mean, he was very outspoken last
Because
night.
he wants the new globalist regime. That's what's behind it
It
all.
is, it is definitely, without a doubt, it is, and I don't know. I'm not sorry to be the age I am, quite honestly. I mean, maybe that is me. Maybe I remember my mother saying the same sort of thing, and maybe today's youngsters just cope with it because they're in the middle of all of the slush and slurry, aren't they? Maybe they just cope with it and get on with it. And I suppose we are dipping back to our childhood and respect and ethics and self-respect and
Marilyn,
um,
is it because they are in an alternative universe?
well,
That being the
I,
social media universe,
I
they
think
can
so.
shield themselves from it quite
Yeah,
easily.
yeah. I think that's probably right. It is a very, very different world. But then, I mean, I suppose my mother would have said that about me when I was growing up. It's a very different world, but not like it is now. I mean, we always had good education, sound education, and good manners, respect. As I say, the ethics, kindness, go out of your way for somebody else. It's not about me. And then all that's now changed. I do think social media is a lot to do with it, but also parents that don't parent.
We are running out of time. We always do. We can't leave without Bryce Norton.
Oh,
I mean, for goodness sake, does that
oh,
show us where we are as a country as well?
there's a
It's
6 foot fence.
unbelievable.
Unbelievable. All they had was a 6 foot fence stopping them going in. That's it. No different to my private garden. Unbelievable. I couldn't
Can
believe
I
it when
solve the problem immediately?
of course,
Because I can, it's quite easy.
that's
And that is number one, get more people in our armed forces because I'll bet my bottom dollar they're cutting back on security all over the place, not
Of
just
course they will be.
Rise
Of
North.
course they will be. I mean, that needed a sort of a 10 foot thick wire fence, chicken wire fence with barbed wire on the
And
top
it
of it.
has to be manned and it has to be lit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's all very well for Starmer to be jumping up and down and saying, what's it he said? We ban Palestinians. How can you ban them? They've already done it. And what are you going to put in place to stop them doing it again?
Exactly. The place that they've got to be put, of course, is jail, whether there's room for them or not.
There's no room for
Get
them,
them
is
in
there?
jail immediately, these idiots.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's no, and everybody knows there's no room. So, that's what's making people carry on because by the time you got through the courts, you'll get another suspended sentence. You're not going to be deported. I mean, it's just, I just don't know. I could never have imagined it getting as bad as this. And if it's not this, it's like the whole of the Middle East and from Russia right across. I mean, you think, what is going to happen with Iran? And I mean, if Trump pushes that button, and what is that going to be like? I mean, there will still be people, even if he doesn't do that, there will still be people here, Iranian people here, who can cause some significant harm in this country because they know that we are saying we don't like Iran. So it's not to say we're safe from any terrorism.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, let's cheer people up with a bit of
I don't know what with. The blackberries
well, I
will be
know it's
early
not
this year.
cheering people up really, but it's a bit of advice. I've got a question to ask you. Let's see if you can get this one right.
Ooh.
When or what should you never put in a microwave? Ah, I've got to.
Um,
I've seen that glow before.
an egg.
No, although there is a risk there. Yes, that's
Yeah, yes, an egg with it. I don't know.
you can do certain things to mitigate the problem, but surprisingly, it's a bowl or a glass of water. Now, the science behind this apparently is that it never in the natural comes up to boiling, so you can't make tea out of it,
Okay.
just below boiling. But then it goes into a state of superheated water if you leave it in there. And in that state, and it looks nice and peaceful lying there, superheated water. Try and put anything in it. Bishoo.
Really?
Yes. So beware of that one, folks. It might not explode all over you, but it doesn't like superheated water, doesn't like anything being put in it. So that's
Wow.
why you don't put water in the microwave. There you go.
Wow. Every day is a school day.
How many lives have we saved?
Okie dokie. Well, have a great weekend. I mean, we normally do this on a Monday, don't we? And there's so much news. We've done it on a
We've
Saturday.
done it early. Yeah, we can't wait
It
to
had
get
to
this.
happen because it'll still come teeming in over the weekend. You wait, of course, it's the longest.
I mean, we've got our hottest months waiting, July and August. And June's been a storm. We've had July and August temperatures. So
Well,
we got another, feel sorry for us folk. But at 40 degrees, it's not nice.
well, it's going to be 32 today here.
You
And
wimp, you've got
yeah, no, but it did say there was somebody on what do you call them? Meteorologist
there's one of them.
yesterday saying, but when you go back to 1976, the heat wave, there were days in June that were 35.
Got him. Yeah.
I remember having to drive to Basingstoke every day from Southampton, and it was just wall to wall blue skies for weeks, wasn't it? From April, right? And then the day I got married in September, there were the clouds, and I thought, yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
that was
It warned.
prophetic.
The omens were there.
That was prophetic, wasn't it?
Right.
All right then.
See
Well,
you
lovely
next
to meet
week.
you. Have a good weekend. Bye now.